What's up, everybody? It's been a hell of a week. Lost a good friend of ours this week, Korey Byrd, somebody that gave everything he had to fighting back for the person that he loved. And that person was Michael Nida. Happened to be my friend. Korey and I, we met fighting for Mikey, and we just became the best of friends. I posted his eulogy, so there's a lot I had to say there that I'm not going to repeat today, but I did want to talk about a couple different things that happened this week, maybe the contrast between the two. And I got a couple stories about Korey that I wanted to share here that I think were a little bit more appropriate for this page. But this week was extremely tragic. First we lost Korey, and then I happened to I lost a classmate that I went to middle school with at St. Raymond's Catholic School, and she was killed in a horrific automobile accident with her husband last Sunday. And all my classmates were floored. It's been so long since we've been to school together. We've all just totally walked different paths. But when you grow up with somebody, there's a bond there that is real and deserves to be respected. So there was a candlelight vigil for her and her husband at my old church on Wednesday, which I attended. I was a little bit apprehensive about attending, but I'm glad I did. But my friend, her husband, was a police officer, an investigator for the district attorney's police office or police department, which I didn't even know existed. It's another police department that's out there. But when I went to the memorial on Wednesday, I was just automatically freaked the fuck out, because as soon as I pull up to the church, I just see flashing red and blue everywhere. And because he was a law enforcement officer, I just realized I'm walking right into a law enforcement officer's memorial service. And it was fucking scary. All I wanted to do was grieve. All I wanted to do was show my respect in the church that I grew up in, even if it's not necessarily the church that I participate in. So I showed up. Like I said, the parking lot was packed. The surrounding neighborhood was packed. There were cops everywhere. Everywhere. Downey police everywhere. And if you know me, and you know Korey, Downey police killed Michael Nida, October 22nd, 2011. That's why I'm here. So, right off the bat, freaking the fuck out, right? When I go in there and I find some space, the church is packed, so there's nowhere for me in the church. There's a parish hall that seats about 300 people. I went in there, I sat down, started to, engage in the liturgy, and I was by myself. I sat in the front of the church because as soon as I got there, like I said, the amount of law enforcement there was just ridiculous. I mean, it was crazy. We're talking about hundreds. 600-700 cops, 800-900 cops. When I was looking around, I was floored, because this is an official, memorial for a law enforcement officer and his wife, even though I was there for, my classmate. So, sitting in the front, so I don't have to look at anybody participating in, the memorial. And right off the bat, I remembered why Catholic funerals just fucking infuriate me. The commercial, if you want to see this person again, you better subscribe to what we believe, or they'll be, missing you in heaven and all that shit, and I sat through it, and I listened to the prayers, and I just tried to focus myself because I'm not afraid to pray. But I just felt this building anxiety and fear, and just this fight or flight that was just overwhelming me. So I got up, and I started to kind of work my way out, and I turned around, and like I said, this place was packed full of cops. It was almost like a fucking comedy. They were everywhere. To me, it was a horror movie. It was my horror movie. And I had to get out of there as fast as I could. I left the Paris Hall. I was trying to stand outside to get some air, you know, hoping to see some classmates. But like I said, there was just so many people there, which is a testimony to what an amazing person my friend was or my classmate. And standing around, you know, and I'm just like I just had to leave, you know. I didn't get to see anybody from my class. And as I was, everywhere I looked, I was seeing groups of Downey cops. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, for all I know, fucking Steve Gillies here, Blanca Reyes is here, one of these cops that killed my friend could be here in this crowd, and I can't handle this. I have to go, you know. And it fucked me up for like 2 days, you know, being in the presence of all that evil, all that fucking like darkness, you know. And I realized later, you know, the next day I started to think about it and analyze it, you know. And I always talk about, you know, we travel in the spirit world and the people that we fight for never leave us. Well, my spirit army was with me that day, and they were freaking the fuck out like I was, and they were telling me, get the fuck out of here. Korey Byrd was right next to me yelling at me, what are we doing here? So I left. I left out of respect for my classmate and her husband. I left out of respect for the grieving process for everybody, including those cops. But it really was my nightmare, you know. Fast forward to, that was Wednesday, you know. Friday, we had a memorial for Korey at the mortuary where he was resting, you know. And completely different crowd, completely different vibe, completely different environment. Outlaws everywhere, of every kind. People who live, you know, outside the lines. All of Korey's family. All the people who he worked for in the guard community. Korey had so many different friends and so many different people that he impacted in his life, and they showed up for him on Friday, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And the one thing that was missing on Wednesday that I did not feel anywhere in that crowd, which was love. You know, I felt a lot of hostility. I felt a lot of probably thirst for vengeance. I felt a lot of just, you know, stoic aggression. And like I said, you know, Friday was the complete opposite. And people who, like I said, society might, you know, not accept or believe are good people, showed out for Korey Byrd, and they gave him the most beautiful, love-filled memorial I've been a part of in a long time. And I'm grateful for that, because that's exactly what Korey deserved. You know, that's exactly what Korey deserved. And everybody who showed up for him on Friday, and everybody who spoke up for him on Friday, and everybody who just reached out and held each other on Friday, you know, we did a beautiful thing for a beautiful person. I told some stories, and I shared some experiences I had with Korey, but like I said, there's a couple that I just kind of wanted to share here because they kind of pertain to our struggle and the movement and the things that we did when we started, you know. So I want to go all the way back to 2012, and I want to talk about after, you know, after Martin Angel Hernandez got killed, we became very active in Anaheim. Korey and I both really related to his story and his community. And then we met Sonia, and, you know, everything just gelled. Three amigos were born. We fought for Martin just as hard as we fought for Mikey. We became family, you know. And then in July of that year, most of you who follow this movement remember or should know, there was 2 back-to-back killings in July, Manuel Diaz, Joel Acevedo. And after that happened, you know, all hell broke loose and the community rose up, and there was a lot of power. There was a lot of people power, potency, that the adversaries had to do something about. And I remember us being in the middle of a lot of things because of the fact that we were active every day. Out there, out here, just engaged in the struggle. So they wanted to talk to Sonia, especially because she was doing so much work and making such a difference in Anaheim. And, you know, we were the three amigos, man. We traveled together, you know. And I can remember going to a couple meetings out there where the city of Anaheim actually wanted to talk and work with us and hear our stories and see what they could do to help us. You know, and it was all a bunch of bullshit. You know, it all wound up being a fucking, you know, a co-opt. Anytime they tell you to come together, you better watch it. Okay? That's a fucking code word for they're going to take your shit and they're going to try to turn it against you. So they started this, you know, let's come together. Let's all just be together and love and peace and hippie shit. Right? And we were like, nah, fuck this. We're at war. This is a struggle. We're not trying to fucking make friends with nobody right now. You know, and they just kept pushing this fucking agenda. And there's other people that were trying to push it on us, you know, and I can remember going to this meeting. And, you know, Korey was the type of dude, if you looked at him, you probably were going to dismiss him, especially if you were the kind of person that didn't respect people, that didn't think like you, maybe didn't have an education like you, maybe didn't have a perspective on the world like you. You were just going to fucking treat him like he was invisible. And that's exactly what happened at this meeting, right? They wanted to talk to Sonia. They wanted me to convince Sonia to do what they wanted to do. So they were coming at us. Korey sat there, held our daughter, bonded with our daughter, became her teddy bear, and listened while these fools just tried to work us and talk a bunch of shit and side talk us and neck talk us and promise us the world. But we're not here to make friends, you know. And I can remember getting in the car after that meeting with the three amigos and everybody talking about what they saw. What'd you see? What'd you see? What'd you see? We all saw the same shit. We didn't know what to do about it, but we had an idea. We didn't want to be a part of something that was going to fuck up this movement or hurt our people. Korey went the extra step, and he actually protested the event. And he made signs because they were like, we don't want to hear fuck the police, and we don't want to hear any kind of negativity against the police, and we want, you know, if that happens, then we're not going to be able to bond, you know. And Korey was like, they're not going to want to fucking work with us, you know. So he went out and made a bunch of signs. We won't party with pigs. No justice, no peace. Fuck the police. And he protested that event with like 4 people, who became some of the most solid people in the movement, who were also being betrayed and turned on for all the hard work that they did. And I can remember everybody just coming down on them and just telling them, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, we need to be together right now. And they're like, nah, fuck that. We need to be together fighting this fucking fight, not selling out or trying to fucking come up on this or make money off of people's fucking suffering, you know? And so Korey was willing to be ostracized, was willing to be put down and made fun of and treated like shit because he decided to make a stand. And when that event came, Sonia and I went because we wanted to see what was up, but we were not going to participate, right? Because we didn't trust this shit. We just wanted to see for our own eyes what was happening. And exactly what we were worried about happened. Okay, they brought the families, they put them up on stage, they turned them into some kind of fucking commercial for getting along, and the cops just laughed at their fucking booth. The cops didn't do shit. They wouldn't shake hands, they wouldn't take pictures, they wouldn't do nothing to come together, right? They made everybody who fucking wanted to be friends look like fools. And we saw that shit and we were out. And Korey and the Belenis and a handful of other people were waiting for us, right? And as time went on, we saw this tactic used again and again and again, to the point to where we left the movement because it became so big and they started to figure out exactly how to play us against each other. Skin color. Yeah, we were out because it's all come together, right? But we learned that from watching it happen to us. And I respect Korey so much because he took that stand when no one else would, and he was right. And it wasn't the last time he would do something like that. It wasn't the last time he would stand on his morals or his heart and be right. So that's something I'll always remember about the guy. I'll always appreciate about him because, again, it had a direct impact on the work that we did, and he was a part of that work. And it helped us to liberate ourselves from anybody that was trying to manipulate or direct us or help us to promote their agenda as opposed to what we knew we were fighting for. Second story, fast forward a little bit. Ezell Ford got killed in South Central LA on 65th and Broadway. His community rose up like we're always looking for, like strong and smart and eloquent and angry and ready, fearless, ready. So we showed up. And I don't know if, you're not from LA, 65th and Broadway, that's a neighborhood that needs to be respected. You don't walk into that neighborhood or that area just, thinking that you belong or that you're there's a lot of shit going on that you got to watch out for, that you got to respect. But when the call came out for us to show up and to stand up for Ezell Ford, we went. There was no Black Lives Matter back then. There wasn't anything like that. There was a movement at the time that got co-opted called Save Black Boys, that Sibo the rapper and his family kind of started as a response to what happened to Ezell Ford, and they saw happening in their community to Dante Parker and other young black men, middle-aged black men, older black men, all of the black men that are in danger these days from the fucking cops. And we got it. And we showed up. We liked that. We're down for that shit. Okay? We got down. And when we got down, what I'm talking about, you know who we are and you know who Korey is, right? Korey's this big, bald skinhead. Okay? And back then, Korey probably weighed about 450 pounds, generously, maybe 5. He was a big boy. And we showed up for a protest. Turned into a march, which was one of the most monumental marches we've ever been a part of. 8 miles through LA, around Exposition Park, all the way over to as close to the Staples Center as we could get, and then back again, and all the way back home. And when we charted it out, it was like 8 miles. Korey wore Converse, I think, that night. He was not ready. Nobody was ready for a march. But I tell you what, that dude marched 8 miles for Ezell Ford through the streets of South Central. Okay? Hurting the whole time. I was with him. We stayed by his side because he's our boy. We are the three amigos. And it's documented. It's out there. There's pictures. There's footage. We did it. Okay? Ain't no imagination. Ain't no story. It's the truth. And Korey Byrd marched all 8 miles that night and loved it the whole time. He was fucking suffering, and you could tell he was hurting, but you know what? He would not stop. He would not stop, because that's how we do it. Can't stop, won't stop. And when you show up for somebody, you show up all the way, and you deal with whatever happens tomorrow. Okay? And that's something about that dude that personified so much of his character. Okay? When he committed to something, he stayed with it. And when it came to our struggle, and it came to fighting for the people that don't have a voice anymore because they're dead, fighting for the people that can't fight back because they're marginalized, because they're threatened, because they're injuncted, Korey Byrd was there. Korey Byrd was there every time. And he showed up with righteous power, courage, and strength. He's one of the most beautiful people I've ever known in my life. I'm crippled inside without him. I'm mustering strength right now to tell this story, and I know I'm being held up by my spirits to talk to you right now, because it has to come out and I have to say it. So thank you for listening. If you knew Korey, thank you for loving him. Thank you for caring about Korey and his family. And he may have crossed over, and he may be part of our spirit army now, but his family's still here. So let's let that love live in all of us, okay? So that he just is never forgotten. Always loved and remembered with respect. All right. Thank you for listening. Rest in peace, Korey Byrd. I love you, brother. I love you so much. You made such a difference in so many people's lives. Thank you.